This is a review of the Derwent Inktense 24 set watercolor pencils. And they're fairly high quality pencil. Each of the pencils has a color indicator on the back of it. And each one is labeled with a number and its color and a water soluble mark, a little paintbrush. In the 24 set, there's 23 colors and one outliner. Of course, one of the colors is white. So I'm just going over each color with a wash, and then I'm applying some of that paint to a blank area of paper. So that was the sherbet lemon, then the sun yellow. That's the tangerine, which I actually used for my picture as the skin tone. There's two reds, a poppy red and a chili red. The Shiraz and the fuchsia. Note that the light fast indicators, the numbers are along the right hand side, and basically values of 7 or 8 are considered light fast. So most of the reds and pinks are not light fast, nor are the lighter blues and greens. So it was iris blue, bright blue, deep indigo, and then the sea blue there. This is the teal green. And then the apple green, and the apple green is also not light fast. And at some point I plan on doing some light fast experiments to see how these hold up. There's the field green and the mustard, and I used the mustard a fair bit. The leaf green, which I haven't really used at all. And the baked earth, which also gets a fair bit of use, as does the willow. And then there's a big jump to the bark. So I was kind of disappointed that you get some light browns and then you jump all the way to this bark color, which is quite dark. And then the charcoal gray and a black. And I didn't actually use the black in any of the first painting. That I got by using the charcoal gray. And then with the white, I've just taken the white and moved that over top of some red. And as we can see, the outliner is not water soluble. So the picture I'm going to do today is a picture of my son just after his Little League team won the division championship. And I've already got the face done here. I've used tangerine for a skin tone. I've darkened it up with some willow. I've used the iris blue and the sea blue for the uniform. Apple green was used for the grass. So it appears that I jump around quite a bit. What I'm doing is I'm laying down the pencil crayon. I'm putting a wash over top of it. Then I move on to a different area while I let the previous section dry. The pencils have a feeling, a kind of a rough feeling when they go on, not like a wax-based pencil. And if you sharpen them too much to a sharp point, the point can crumble. So they're not that hard. But other than that, they're quite durable. I had no crayons break. It's best to make sure that the paint has dried prior to applying more layers. Otherwise, you can smear things together. When working with the Inktense, I kind of think of them as a three-step process. The first process is just to pencil out your drawing. And the second one is to apply a wash to that pencil. And then, of course, you want to layer it until you get the tones that you want. But then, of course, the last step is filling in your detail. And I found the best way to do the detail was to use just a brush itself. In my case, because I only have the pencils, I was applying the wet brush to a pencil to get some pigment and then applying that to my paper. Probably a better way of doing it is to just purchase the Inktense blocks and work from the blocks. So I would think of it as a three-step process, using the pencils first to draw out what you really want, applying a wash to those pencils, layering and layering until you get the right tones you want, and then lastly filling in the detail using your blocks. So I found that layering is quite important. Basically, you just start out light and keep layering over the top until you get the color you want. The one thing is, if you go too dark, it is a little difficult to lighten things up. And you can go over things with the white, but the white is a little bit transparent. After you apply the water wash, the colors will brighten up significantly. They will, however, lighten up once they've dried. Another thing to watch for is when you're applying the pigment with the pencil crayon, you should make sure that you've washed out all the crayon. If you don't wash out all the crayon and you come back later and apply a different color, or you're applying a color right beside your existing color, it can cause the two colors to bleed together. The best technique is to apply small amounts of pigment, thoroughly wash that out, and then continue to add layers until you've reached the color or tone that you're trying to attain. So one of the things you'll notice is that once in a while I'm holding a cup on the side. And what I've done is I've grated the white pencil crayon a little bit into the cup, added some water to create a white paste, and that's what I've used to lighten up some areas. I've also mixed that white paste with various colors like the charcoal gray. So this allowed me to create lighter grays for the pavement. And you can do this with the browns and the tangerine to create a lighter shade of skin tone. Since I'm not a painter, I decided to get a few critiques. They were fairly legitimate. So I went back over and I started to fill in some of the details. Some of those were on the trophy. I also added some wrapping to the tomahawk that I had excluded, and put an extra layer, but tried to add some contrast to the shirt. I cleaned up the clubhouse a bit, added a fascia and some rafters, make it look a little more realistic. So that's the final product. I'm pretty happy with the result. Enjoyed using the pencils so much that I bought a 36 set. The positive aspects of the pencil crayons were that they're high quality. They're good. They don't break. They're very versatile. You can use them in a number of different ways. They're inexpensive. It's about $35 for the set of 24, and they're fun to work with. The only negative I can think of is there's a bit of a learning curve for using them, and of course not all the colors are light fast. So that's all for this review, and I should have another example of Inktense art within the week.